and welcome to Finextra TV. We're reporting from UK FinTech Week and we're at IFGS in London. Kindly joining me now is Helen Child, CEO of Open Banking Excellence. Helen, it's wonderful to see you again. Thanks for taking the time to speak with us.
Hannah, thank you for inviting me. It's great to be here. Just listen to the vibe. It's a great event.
It's been a fantastic event. I know it's been quite a busy one for you. I know you were on a panel session yesterday, and that's sort of what we're speaking about today. It's open banking, of course, a massive topic at this year's event, and we really are at the tipping point with open banking in the UK, aren't we? So I want to talk about how we're keeping up momentum with open banking and staying the global leaders. But first, bring us up to date. Where are we up to with open banking? Let's start there.
Gosh, so much to cover, Hannah, but let's keep it short. Okay, so at the beginning of the year, Open Banking Excellence, OBE as we affectionately call it, we launched our Global Open Finance Index. Now, we did that with our friends here at Innovate Finance, with the Department of Business and Trade, Oxford University, the World Bank, NatWest and Accenture. So this is the first data-driven piece of research the industry has ever delivered. Wow. We went out, we surveyed 23 countries around the world, we had 400 interviews and 150 data points. Most of those came from the World Bank. So it was a phenomenal piece of research. What did the research show? It showed that the UK had and still has the uncontested lead in open banking globally. Okay? However, that is in danger of evaporating, and that's something that we can talk about later on with JROC and their recommendations.
Yeah, we will come to that as well. So tell us then, how are we going to keep up that momentum, and tell us a bit about OBE's role in that as well.
Okay, so to keep up the momentum, I mean, if you think about it, if you just take a step back, open banking was launched in the UK in 2018. The UK tech companies, and we are at UK, Tech Week, okay? The UK tech companies have a head start. We have more experience in transaction processing the data, importantly in terms of keeping that data safe and secure, and integrating with the incumbent suppliers, so the financial institutions, the banks. So we can do that again, and we can do that at scale. So that de-risks the proposition for any non-UK company. Right. So what does that mean? It means for the UK that we have an export-led growth opportunity, and that's why it's important. So right now, I can proudly say that the UK's experience for talents and capabilities is unmatched globally. That's why keeping up the momentum is important for all the tech companies that you will see here today at UK FinTech Week.
And talent and culture really is at the heart of that momentum, isn't it?
Oh, without a shadow of a doubt. Yeah. And at OBE, we are now the largest and most engaged global community for open banking, with 34,000 open banking pioneers. You've got fintechs, banks, pioneers, big techs, policymakers and regulators. And we are advocating for the growth trajectory of the community. And we bring that community together to share their stories, to create content that promotes open banking globally.
Well, that's a very positive note, but I think it's safe to say there are some hurdles still left to jump, and maybe some challenges to consider as well. Perhaps you could take us through what's left to address.
Well, that's a great segue into JROC. Yeah. Of course, there's always going to be challenges. We are just 5 years into a new payments and data collection process. So we will always be facing challenges, but we are jumping them very fast. So if we look at the JROC, the Joint Regulatory Oversight Committee, shared their recommendations yesterday. It was an absolute privilege to be able to talk to Marion about them. And it basically, just to throw some numbers, you've got 29 different points, all of which now have a time scale. Right. Yeah. And there are 5 big themes that have to be delivered within 2 years. And if we just touch on a couple of those themes to answer your question.
Yeah, definitely.
The first one is very ambitious. It's the first time I've ever seen retail payments being called out. So we want to put more infrastructure around the consumer protection. So to allow us to operate at scale in the UK, we have the best use case for payments, that's HMRC, with £14 billion, that's with a B, £14 billion collected in our taxes. Now, if we want to continue to operate at scale, we need more consumer protection. So that's more dispute management, that's more risk and liability framework models. And at Open Banking Excellence, what we are doing is we are convening the community behind the scenes and having these conversations to create that market momentum. We work with the regulators, we work with all the stakeholders. So a lot of what we do, Hannah, now is behind the glare of the cameras and behind the glare of social media. But one of the big things with JROC, one of their key themes, was consumer protection around payments. So that is fantastic, that's being addressed. Another one of them was around fraud and security. That's been one of the PSR pillars for a long time. And the key thing with the JROC report, and as Marion said yesterday, is it importantly creates market momentum. In a word, it unlocks. We've all been waiting for it. It absolutely unlocks, and we can lace up our trainers and get moving. Going back to that, keeping the uncontested lead and why that's important for the export-led growth, we've now got nothing stopping us. And it really does create a beautiful path into open finance, open data and beyond. And the stars now are beginning to align with the data protection bill happening. It's had its first reading in Parliament. It should go to committee and get heard within this parliamentary session. And that really does unlock again all of the opportunities for UK tech companies.
Yeah, it's really exciting.
I think so.
You've done a great job to really paint the picture for us there, Helen. Thank you very much. So let's perhaps summarise that and end on some advice. And what are you hoping to see more of in the future then in the space?
More of the same. Okay, I think we have a fabulous opportunity in the UK. More of the same from the ecosystem collaborating together. Collaboration is a key word for us at OBE, but it's a key word for how, and Hannah, you know this, how this ecosystem really, really operates. It is collaboration, and that's when the magic happens. And what we do at OBE is we bring those people together, we make those connections with purpose for people to realise their ambitions and their dreams. So my advice to everybody, there is now nothing stopping the UK maintaining its global lead and keeping that market momentum. So lace up your trainers.
So watch the space, safe to say. Some really exciting times and a very positive note to end on there, Helen. But as we've been speaking, the event has certainly got louder behind us. So I'll let you get back to it, and thank you very much for sharing your insights.
Hannah, thank you very much for inviting me. And as you can hear, Lou and Janine and the team at Innovate Finance have all done us proud. Thank you, Hannah.